Good evening, y'all. Now, if y'all remember, just last night we started a story about Santa Claus. Now, tonight we are gonna finish that story. But before we do, I want to wish y'all a happy Christmas, a lovely holiday, and hold your family close.
That's right, folks! Those goats aren't just pulling a sleigh, they're pulling their whole holiday economy. And so are you, every time you pick up a bottle of Faco Cola. The clop clop of capitalist hooves alive. Work hard for the big guy's list. Faco Cola tastes koala kissed. Buy a Faco Cola today!
Let's begin. Part 2. Nicholas woke, though whether it was waking or a continuation of the dream he'd been shaping for decades, he did not truly know. Frost clung to the edges of his coat, red velvet, soft, yet stiff with cold. And the world he had began to touch in childhood, leaned toward him in quiet acknowledgement. Town seemed smaller in his gaze, streets curling, roofs bending ever so slightly, chimneys raising smoke in patterns that whispered his presence. He walked into cities, to markets, to churches, and everywhere he went, children noticed first. They did not run or hide. They smiled, shyly, because the presence of Nicholas, of Santa, demanded it. And adults, too, found themselves tilting their speech, curving their manners around him as if their joy and obedience were a currency he alone could measure. His steps were careful, almost playful, yet each one pressed the world into patterns it had not known before. The elves followed him as they always had, their work a lattice beneath the sweetness. Toys, bells, carved sleighs, music boxes, all carried a quiet odor that none but Nicholas noticed. They were joy, they were obedience, they were myth, and he, unremarkable in gesture yet immense in presence, made them so. The labor was invisible, the gift unquestioned, the structure hidden behind laughter, and in that hidden laughter, the first traces of power unshared began to twist, quietly, inexorably. He moved through forests and mountains, through frozen rivers and sunlit meadows, carrying gifts to places that were not yet ready for him. And as he did, he observed patterns of desire, the small way humans built their lives, their rituals, their anticipation. Each letter, each whispered plea, each careful drawing of a star in snow added to the lattice. Nicholas smiled softly, as if he was giving life, when in fact he was shaping it, bending it without words, without claim. The snow followed him in subtle ways, a blanket of white over rooftops, a drifting flake that lingered, called in a child's hair. The wind seemed to carry messages, though no one would ever recognize them. He appeared at hearths, at windows, at doorsteps. He delivered, he watched, he recorded in silence. No one understood how complete his presence was. The gift of cheer and the weight of the unseen order were one and the same. Children slept with the sound of his myths humming through the air, a lullaby and caution folded together. Parrots repeated his name in whispers, sometimes as a warning, sometimes as a prayer. And each repetition, each nod of faith or fear, strengthened him. The world began to hum with his invisible architecture, a scaffold of joy, anticipation, and as always, quiet obedience.
We interrupt with a breaking story. We return to this developing story out of Washington. On December 19th, earlier today, in 1998, the House of Representatives has voted to impeach President Bill Clinton, citing charges of perjury and obstruction of justice connected to the president's personal misconduct. Scenes on Capitol Hill have been nothing short of electric. Lawmakers trade in accusations across party lines, with some calling the president a manipulator, a liar, and an embarrassment to the office, while others decried the proceedings as a partisan spectacle dripping with hypocrisy. The president's alleged improprieties tied to his relationship with a young White House intern have long dominated the headlines, fueling gossip, outrage, and no shortage of finger-pointing. Analysts note that Clinton's close personal association with business magnate Donald Trump only adds another layer of intrigue for the press. The articles of impeachment now head to the Senate for trial, where the nation watches with equal parts fatigue and fascination. Whether the president will be removed from office remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the scandal has left an indelible stain on the political landscape.
Sometimes when he paused upon a ridge and looked upon a village blanketed in snow, he felt the weight of it all the small rituals, all the joy, all the compliance, rising against him like a tide, and he smiled. Not cruelly, no, not kindly, but with the calm certainty of one who had been watching the world unfold for years, and who had learned the patience of power. In towns and forests, the elves labored still. They hands swift, they laughed to faint, carrying the weights of gifts they did not fully understand. Nicholas did not stop him. He guided them with invisible fingers, soft nudges, tiny gestures that shaped hours into patterns, minutes into inevitabilities. The world obeyed because it wanted to, or at least thought it did. And in that obedience, he found both delight and detachment. He carried the mantle now fully, and with it came the quiet horror of presence. The red velvet coat, once playful, now clung to him like a second skin, luminous beneath the snow. His eyes reflected every hearth, every chimney, every whispered hope, every slight infraction a cheer. He did not intervene unnecessarily, because intervention would break the myth, but he observed, always, and in his observation, he strengthened. The wind carried whispers into the night, a child's wish, a parent's quiet hope, the faint murmur of elf work. And Nicholas smiled. The world was shaping, bending, humming, compliant, and yet totally unaware. He did not know what he would become, only that the myth must grow. And in those darkest moments before dawn, atop a ridge dusted with frost and lantern light, Nicholas spoke. And though his words drifted on wind like snow, and no one knew whether they heard him or not, even when your lights dim, even when your hearts falter, even when the toys are untouched, I am here, watching, always. A hush fell over the world. The elves paused in their labor. Children dreamed uncertainly, and Nicholas, Jarl the Both, smiled. A red velvet dragon fully awakened, with the joy, the myth, and the subtle creeping obedience finally taking shape. The world would never forget. And with that, we conclude our lovely tale of Santa Claus, that great red velvet dragon. Now, I wish you all a happy holiday, and I hope to see you all again tomorrow.